All right, welcome to this explainer. If you're listening to this, I know exactly what's going on. Your PAD 321 exam on local government administration in Malaysia is what, just 3 days away? And you need to absorb this entire document fast. Look, take a breath. Don't panic. I've distilled Chapter 1 down into a high-yield, purely focused study guide that is literally designed for rapid memorization. Let's get right into it. Here's our roadmap to getting you that passing grade. We're going to cover 1. Introduction to local government. 2. Definitions and concepts. 3. Objectives. 4. Characteristics and autonomy. 5. Obligatory versus discretionary functions. And finally, 6. The question of sovereignty. Okay, starting off with Section 1, Introduction to Local Government. The absolute first thing you need to lock into your brain right now is where local government actually sits in the national hierarchy. I want you to remember the number 3. Why? Because Malaysia has exactly 3 branches or tiers of government. You've got the federal government up top, the state government in the middle, and local government right there at the grassroots level. It's the lowest tier, meaning it's the one literally closest to the everyday lives of regular people. Now, where does this sit constitutionally? Well, the federal constitution is super strict about who's in charge of what. For the vast majority of local authorities, they fall directly under the exclusive jurisdiction of the state governments. But there is a massive exception you need to scribble down for your exam, the federal territories. Thanks to the 9th schedule, Kuala Lumpur, Labuan, and Putrajaya are strictly under the federal list, so state jurisdiction for most, federal for the territories. Make sense?
Moving right along to Section 2, Definitions and Core Concepts.
We have to clearly define what a local government actually is, especially in the Malaysian context. Officially, it's called a subsystem operating within or among a number of other subsystems. Kinda wordy, right? But here is the absolute gold for your essay answers. It's a body with limited autonomy when it comes to finance and administration. And, this is huge, they have the power to sue and be sued, and they can own legal property. Definitely write down limited autonomy and power to sue and be sued. Those are guaranteed point scorers. If you want to really pad out that essay, throw in Malcolm W. Norris's definition. He says it's the government of an urban or rural area that is subordinate to the state government but still has an independent legal existence. You seeing the theme here? It answers to a higher power. It's subordinate, but it still operates as its own separate legal thing. The Royal Commission of Inquiry backs this up perfectly. They call it the 3rd tier in the federal structure, administered by state-nominated counselors, acting as a separate legal entity to give us obligatory and discretionary services. But listen closely. The million-dollar phrase here is infrasovereign. Let me say that one more time. Infrasovereign. Drill that into your head. Dropping infrasovereign into your exam to describe its subordinate status to the state is going to look incredibly impressive to whoever's grading your paper. All right, Section 3, Objectives of Local Government. We know the what, so let's tackle the why. For this section, your magic number is 5. There are 5 main objectives you need to memorize. Number 1, national unity, which happens at the grassroots level through stuff like the Kongsi Raya cultural festivals. Number 2, democracy. Number 3, freedom and autonomy. Number 4, effectiveness and efficiency in giving out public services. And number 5, social and economic development. A great way to remember that last one is to think about local councils building recreation parks to boost tourism. So again, unity, democracy, autonomy, efficiency, and development. Got it? Let's actually zoom in on Objective 2 really quick, democracy. If your professor throws a question at you about this, you can turn it into an amazing multi-part answer by listing its 3 essential features. First up is pluralism, which basically means political power is dispersed. Second is participation, letting the community express their views and actually help deliver services. And third is responsiveness, meaning the local government genuinely has to react to what the community actually needs. Now, unpacking objective number 3, freedom and autonomy. This breaks down into a really important trio. You have financial autonomy. They can get and spend their own money. Administrative autonomy. They can hire or fire their own staff and set terms of service. And functional autonomy, which relates to their inherent powers to act, often tied to the Anglo-Saxon doctrine. Financial, administrative, functional. Keep those 3 locked and loaded. Okay, Section 4, Characteristics and Autonomy. Pay super close attention here, because this directly answers one of your 20-mark tutorial questions. The source material actually lists 9 characteristics, but I just want you to pick 4 right now and lock them into your short-term memory. Number 1, They have a definite territory clearly drawn out by the state. 2. They have that trio of autonomy we just talked about: financial, administrative, and functional. 3. Policy is decided by an appointed or elected council. 4. They can make bylaws as long as they don't contradict parent laws. And 5. They can get involved in business either on their own or through joint ventures. Pick 4 of those, memorize them. Boom, that's 20 marks right there. Next up, Section 5, obligatory versus discretionary functions. Look, comparing obligatory and discretionary functions is an absolute classic exam matrix. They love asking this. But before we contrast them, let's just run through the 5 broad categories of functions. They do service functions, like garbage and drainage, regulatory functions, like town planning, representation functions, basically acting in the community's interest, community planning and coordination with other agencies, and participation functions, letting locals get involved in policy. Okay, now for the main event. Think of this next part as your ultimate mental cheat sheet. We're going to contrast obligatory and discretionary functions across 3 distinct features. First, under tasks, obligatory functions are the absolute must-dos under the Local Government Act 1976. Think health, cleaning, public amenities. Discretionary tasks are the nice-to-haves, like beautification and parks. Now, think about finance. Obligatory tasks rely heavily on allocations from the state and federal governments. Discretionary tasks? Those depend totally on whether the local authority has extra surplus cash lying around. And that perfectly sets up our final point, supervision. Because superior governments pay for those obligatory tasks, they get to directly supervise them. But since local governments pay for discretionary tasks out of their own pockets, supervision from the top is only indirect. Bringing us to our final section, Section 6, the question of sovereignty. This is the last conceptual hurdle, and honestly, it's a trick question the professors absolutely love to throw at you. Under the ultra vires principle, local governments have 0 element of sovereignty. Let me be 100% clear on that. None at all. They are merely statutory bodies created by an act of parliament. This is the golden thread running through this whole study guide. They are completely, entirely subordinate entities. So the huge takeaway is this: only the federal and state governments in Malaysia have true sovereignty, simply because the Constitution only specifies powers for those 2 levels. Because local government exists purely under state jurisdiction, it is absolutely not a sovereign state. In fact, legally speaking, because a local government lacks sovereignty, it could theoretically be abolished entirely by the federal parliament. Crazy, right?
And just like that, we've made it to the end. Now, I have a direct challenge for you. I'm going to throw 3 tutorial questions at you, pulled straight from your source document. 1. Describe 4 characteristics of local government for 20 marks. 2. Explain 4 functions of local government in Malaysia, also 20 marks. And 3. Discuss 4 objectives of local government in Malaysia. If you can't answer these right now off the top of your head, you need to restart this explainer and listen again. You've got 3 days until this exam, and everything you need to crush it is right here. Study hard, memorize those keywords, and you're going to do great. But as you're writing out those essays, I want you to think about this. If local governments have no true sovereignty and could legally be wiped out by Parliament tomorrow, just how secure is the democracy at your very doorstep? Think about that. Good luck on the exam, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.